as much as we can take on this brief overview of newspaper headline stories. Now, to help us dissect some of these issues, topical discussions here on the program, we're being joined by Dr. Aliyu Ilias, a regular on the program, a friend of the station as well, who loves to lend his deep wealth of knowledge into matters of national interest. Very good morning to you, Dr. Aliyu. Thank you so much for availing yourself for this conversation. Hello, Dr. Aliyu. Are you here with us? Well, I can't hear you quite clearly. Could you check if you are muted on your end so you could unmute yourself?
Well, I am actually unmuted. Maybe it's network.
Okay, well, fantastic. I can hear you loud and clear now. We saw ASU embarking on what it described as a warning protest. Now, this is to relay its message to the federal government over some agreements that were not lived up to by the side of the FG. One of them is the ASU Federal Government 2009 Pact, which has been the bone of contention for ASU for quite a number of years. And following the warning protest, ASU is also threatening the mother of all protests. This isn't a very good situation now, but what do you make of it? What do you think that the ASU the union itself might do before the federal government sits down with the union on Thursday?
Right. So relating my experience as a student who has actually witnessed a lot of the ASU strike, I think it affected me during my first degree, second degree, even up to PhD. So it's quite sad when you look at the experience on the student part. It denies you a lot of things that you have to do. It also brings some social problem because people that are not in school may likely go differently. But it's appalling that government don't know, seem not to understand any language except ASU strike, ASU protest. I'm thinking by now, President Tinubu can review and renegotiate the 2009 agreement. There's room for renegotiation. I'm sure being an intellectual people, ASU, they will also give room for to negotiate. But there are other things that they need to do with that and what have you. So I think President we need to come to this and engage them and actually negotiate. Now, having seen alongside the Minister of Education, I would think we come with another way of tackling this issue because if we don't overdo, let them consider these people. And the fact is that the sad news is that most of our policy makers, they are not in this public school. Their children is either in private school in Nigeria or school in abroad. So we will not know the impact of this. So I am in support of ASU. This is protest. So they have the right to protest. They have the right to actually express their feelings. So I think I'm in support of them. Let them continue to do that so that the government can come to their aid, renegotiate, discuss, and give them a better wage and a better work-life balance for what they are doing.
Now, one of the concerns raised by a certain chairman of ASU in, I think it's Fulafia, he said that about 240 colleagues of theirs die yearly over poor living conditions. Now, this is a very staggering figure. It's scary, to say the least, that people who dedicate their lives to the academic cause, dedicate their lives to ensuring that our education system is not completely derailed, end up dying in such manner due to things that should have easily been handled better by the federal government. I'm not even talking about this administration. I'm talking about successive governments that have come and gone. So what exactly is it that can be done when it comes to improving their living conditions? I know the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had spoken about a loan scheme for these lecturers, but this is something that they have vehemently refused to accept. They are denying it and they do not want it. But holistically now, what are steps that can be taken, deliberate steps, to ensure that One, lecturers who are actively serving do not continue to die over poor living conditions. Secondly, retired lecturers also have, you know, pension schemes that keep their families' spirit, soul, and body together. Your take on this, please, Dr. Aliyu.
Right. So because I'm one of the stakeholder in the academics, and I can actually tell you that you see most people in that sector actually suffering and suffering indeed. Because if you look at it very well, you know, look at the salary and look at the current Nigerian challenges in terms of the purchasing power. You agree with me that that salary is too meager for them to make do with. They cannot even cater to their children's school fees, let alone, you know, doing other things. So I think government needs to come to that. And I'm happy that Fulafia as chairman is raising it and raising program. I think the last one was raised by the last actually also decade, was raised it vehemently that people are dying and not dying because of poverty. They are working, but their living condition is very, very poor. And that will translate into what they give to students. You know, when you don't pay teachers, lecturers, well, it also translates to what they actually offer the students, because they will look for alternative either by looking for way of selling handout, either by looking for way of doing other businesses, or by lecturing in some private school. If you look at most of the lecturers, they have engaged in different schools and they always come to the federal school at their and they are at their own calculated time. So these are the things we need to look at. But it's true that we are actually suffering. When a professor cannot earn more than 500,000 and exams rate alone, you know, with more than 2 million naira, I don't know how they want them to support going forward for solution. The best solution is to negotiate that actual agreement. Now, you can tell them that these are the what I can achieve now, and subsequently we will achieve other things. Perhaps there could be a kind of fund, maybe through oil and gas, where you will say 2% will be going to maybe the education. By then, you can now be removing it to solve the problem. I think that is very key. If not, part of the ASU problem is even the infrastructure in the school, not only their salary. You know, they don't have a good living condition to actually lecture. At this point in time, people still use, you know, people don't have a good infrastructure in the school to teach our students. You know, they still teach with white and black back. You know, these are sad things that we don't need to be seeing, and we continue to. And that's why I agree with Alausa that no more introduction of new university. We must actually cater to what we have now, which is quite commendable. But by and large, they need to actually find a way to sort these challenges of ASU strike and ASU complaints.
Now, concerning the loan scheme that the federal government is offering, and they are refusing it, one major bone of contention is the fact that if the federal government is paying, you know, university lecturers well enough in the country, there wouldn't be any need for them to go about borrowing or taking these loans from the federal government. And secondly, if they are not being paid well, where does the federal government expect them to get the money to pay back the loans from? Or are they going to still be charged from their salaries that are already on the low side? These are the questions that, you know, members of ASU are vehemently asking and are begging for answers from, you know, all concerned parties on the side of the federal government. They are begging for answers from, you know, the Minister of Education. It is quite a very huge bone of contention. What is your own position concerning the loan scheme?
I think it's a good one, and I thank their, you know, their intellectual ability to think through what they actually make, what their decisions. Quite clear. You don't pay me well, you want to give me loan. You know, you don't treat me well, you want to give me loan. So if you give me loan, are you saying that? I remember loan is intervention in nature, and you have to repay back. You're not saying you are giving them grants. So if you give them loan, they are able to do some things, they will still pay from that meager salary. So for them, you have to pay them as an when due, and also pay them very well. If you pay them well, they have cooperative scheme. You don't even need to come and offer them. There's a scheme already in the university whereby you can actually do a cooperative and you get your money and you pay back as and when due. So that would have solved the problem. Even the NEL fund, you know, some of us actually do not support NEL fund for students simply because, for me, people that benefit from NEL fund are very few. Why not find a way to reduce the school fee? You are bringing NEL fund
and school fees is moving from 40,000-50,000 naira to 200 to 50,000 naira. It does not really add up for me. So why not actually pay these staff their salary as and when due, give them their allowance as and when due, and also increase their salary. I don't know where a professor will be earning less than 2 million naira. I want them to actually perform very, very well. So I think it is correct for them to say yes. We do not want to be expecting your loan. We do not want your loan. Just pay us what is duly, for what is due for us, which is the most. So I commend ASU for their decision, and I'm in support of that decision.
Well, let's talk about the implication of all of these strike actions on, the academic welfare of students. I understand that it's one thing to want to relay your demands home to the federal government by embarking on industrial action, but it's also another thing to ensure that while you are relaying those demands home, they also do not trump on the rights of these students to quality education, to being able to go into the university for a 4-year course, learn for 4 years and graduate, rather than spending almost double the amount of time they are supposed to spend in a typical Nigerian public university. How do we balance this up? And what implications do all of these actions have on students, and how do we address them holistically?
Right. So if you look at that aspect very well, I saw Jam trying to say that all the school mothers does their calendar and resume at the same time. And I laugh. I said, well, this cannot hold water until you solve the fundamental issue. Because the issue of the internal crisis of school, the issue of the ASU strike will always change the calendar to what you don't expect. So if we don't take care of ASU, it's going to affect the students. I recall I've been home for like 8 months, around 8 to 9 months, in particular ASU strike. I recall, was it University of Ilorin, 90 lecturers or so. Then I suffered it. At a particular time, I suffered another 6 months. At a particular time, I suffered another 3 months. So if you suffer these things, it's actually increase your challenges, because even our parents are sending us to school have targets that within social period I should be free in sending my wards, my children, my students to school. But now the academy is going to change. You're supposed to use 4 years for a program, you end up using 6 years. You're supposed to use 5 years, you end up use 7 years. It's affecting, perhaps even within that period that most students are home, it gives room for a lot of juvenile delinquency. And even beyond juvenile delinquency, it also creates room, for people to actually, lose track of their study. It also allows some people to even drop from education outrightly. So I think it's good that we consider people that suffer these anomalies every time. So the onus is on the federal government, particularly President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. This has been happening since Olusegun Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Jonathan, even Buhari. I was thinking that because President Bola Ahmed Tinubu have also complained and condemned it even before he became president, and he has Tunji Alausa and as his Minister of Education. By now, I think they should come together and renegotiate, rediscuss, and find a better solution so that in the next 3 years or next 2 years of administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there will not be any strike. Strike is a bad and negative, have a negative impact on both the students, the lecturers, and even the nation, as it were.
Now it appears that the name ASU is almost synonymous with strike actions in the country. You had pointed out that during your university days, you also had your own fair share of lashes from, ASU strike. Now, some of the concerns that the lecturers had raised was the pauperization of, their colleagues, poor salaries, and stalled agreements. One thing that I want to ask is why the constant delay in meeting the demands of ASU. Successive governments have been doing this. I mean, the major bone of contention here is that 2009 ASU and federal government pact. The FG is pledging to meet the demands of ASU come Thursday when they eventually have a sit down. Do you see a headway coming out? And do you see all of these concerns that have been raised, the pauperization, the poor salaries, the stalling of agreements. Do you see all of these things being addressed properly at the meeting come Thursday?
Right. I think it depends on who is representing the federal government. Federal government and these people that represent them, they are key. So whoever is representing federal government should be sincere with ASU and should give them a hope that they will meet up. Because if you actually promise them that you do ABC and you fail to do, why not tell them what is possible? And that's why I'm of the opinion that it should be renegotiated. This is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu now, and you understand the economy that now. Perhaps you understand the funding, the funding capacity of this present administration. So you can now say, okay, because of our funding capacity, because of our challenges, because of the peculiarity in Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration, these are what we can do. These are what we'll do in immediate. These are what we'll do in midterm. And these are what we'll do in the long time. If they can actually be sincere and negotiate better, and not negotiating without considering what is affordable, I think that would be the issue. Then ASU also should come all with all the agreement. They should also help federal government to rearrange their agreement to meet the current situations, because you cannot say what is obtainable in 2009 is what you want to actually ask for now. You can also review, ASU can also review their own request and bring a fresh request, that they know is also possible to meet up. If ASU knows that if you give me loan, it's also the same thing because I will still pay back. They should also know that these are what is possible for them to request. These are too much to request for. I think if they can go in line with that, that will help the two sides to actually come to agree. But by and large, please let two of them settle so that students will stop suffering this incessant strike.
Let's also talk about our education system in general. When you find the average Nigerian student who has gone through the four walls of a Nigerian university, once they graduate through all of these hurdles, particularly the issue of strike actions being embarked upon by ASU, and they perhaps want to go for their masters or something like that, they would rather find a way to, in local parlance we say japa, to another country for their MSc rather than staying back in the same university or even going to yet another Nigerian public university to carry out their master's degree program. Why is this so? And why the gradual loss of hope in Nigerian universities, not just by lecturers themselves, but even by the students?
Right. So I actually went to 5 universities in Nigeria. So I have a taste of several university education.
Yes.
So now, if you look at JAPA as it were, for me, I think the aim of Nigerian running masters abroad, it's quite expensive. The aim is not to further education in the long run. The aim is to relocate. And when you are relocating, remember, the only sure way to move outside, it may not be through work, it will be through education. Perhaps after that, they will have to retain them. But by and large, schooling in Nigeria is quite cheap compared to any place abroad.
Yeah.
So it won't be because it's cheap. It won't be because the education is sound. It's just because they have to relocate. And that has to do with our economic situations. And you know that everybody wants a better greener pasture whereby things are getting better. Because if you even school here, the chance of you getting the job is very, very slim. So it's better you go to a place whereby when you school, you understand that available for it. So the reason for JAPA may not be because of the decay in.
Hello, Dr. Aliyu.
From your first degree, it can't be from your second degree or PhD level. So for me, people that actually went outside school is not bad. You can actually school anywhere. In fact, we are not even taking advantage of it. That's the sad part of it. Indians actually went outside the shore to school, and when they come back, they are the highest in tech now, highest in everything, because they have went out, get the knowledge, know-how, technical know-how, and bring it back. So what we could only do, and I saw President Bola Ahmed Tinubu trying to preach it to Nigeria abroad, that don't always remain here with this new knowledge you have acquired. Find a way to bring it to Nigeria to actually, make it work. But to make it work also, you must also build a system that will make them have confidence that when they come back, not the experience they have, that when they are coming, there will see some security elements arresting them or malhandle them or even kill them, as we have seen. So it's important that we look at. But for me, traveling abroad, in as much as I'm not against it, anybody who find solace in anywhere should please proceed there. I don't have any issue with that. However, we should better our education, make it more attractive. I can also tell you that schooling in Nigeria is cheap. You cannot want to study medical related courses abroad. You know what it costs you, especially at the first degree level. So, but when you come to Nigeria, it appears much more cheaper because of the currency, because of the value, because of a lot of things makes our education more cheaper compared to going abroad. So going abroad simply means you have the intention of actually exposing yourself to greener pasture.
Well, Dr. Aliyu, let's move on to yet another conversation. You've done quite a lot of justice to the ASU versus federal government conversation. Yesterday, we saw a very disturbing incident, an accident along the Abuja-Kaduna rail line, where a train derailed, and we hear that about 6 or 7 individuals sustained some level of injuries from that accident. Now, the concerning thing is a recent, figure surfaced that in the last 6 years, train derailment has occurred in the country about 188 times. 188 times in 6 years. How concerning is this for you?
That is quite alarming and got me scared because I bought train severally, especially to Kaduna. And you know that what befell those people yesterday could befall any person
Yeah.
in a train. So it raises a lot of concern. I think it's lack of lack of concern, because I remember during the Minister of Transport Amici era, he made mention that there will be camera and there will be much more sophisticated way of monitoring those. So I expect them to come out clean on what actually caused this last one. Is it because somebody tampered with the rail lines? Is it because of late? They have to just bring it clear, because we are so lucky that there is no death recorded. It's only some level of casualty that were recorded. But by and large, it shows how unprepared we are. And also, you look at that. That the last one was about people that was shot that
Yeah, a bandit attack on the train.
Exactly, yeah. Bandit ambush the train. So I think that's another. So we must start looking and going scientific or technological way to have, because if you have a lot of technology know-how, we will have noticed even before they get there that there's an error that have occurred in that way. There should be an alert system that will tell them that yes, that thing as a particular part is not there already. So I think there should be a kind of a camera that will be seen ahead. Maybe some different person will be monitoring that will be seen ahead and tell the driver that you have to hold the brake or you have to halt the train before it gets to that level. It's a sad one. I saw.
Well, Dr. Aliyu, one of the major concerns being raised by, keen observers of the railway sector in Nigeria and the average, Nigerian character. Some persons have said that maybe these derailments can be attributed to the fact that there are individuals who continue to vandalize these rail tracks. Well, Dr. Aliyu, are you still with me?
Yes.
All right, I can't quite hear you clearly. I don't know if it is the network from your end, but it appears that your voice is stolen. There is an audio interference from your end.
I think that.
We still can't hear you. There might be a tab opened on your computer. You could kindly check that before we continue the conversation.
Maybe it's on.
Hello?
I can hear you clearly now.
All right, fantastic. Well, I was saying that some key observers of the whole situation that has been occurring, 188 train derailments in 6 years, have somehow attributed it to the vandalization of some of these rail tracks. It's no news that there are individuals who are deviants in the society, and no matter the quality of infrastructure that has been put in place for public use, they would always want to vandalize it for their own personal gains. We have seen the situation of the manhole covers within the Federal Capital Territory and how it is being stolen at random. Some people have also attributed the same misfortune to these cases of train derailments in the country.
It's quite a sad one that will have such a level of vandalization and arbitrage, and that's why some of us said that there should be an automatic camera that can actually continue to monitor those railway. That will be an alert when somebody commits such crime. Then I don't think anything stops our civil defense. I don't know if they are starting with the responsibility of looking at our infrastructure. However, there's not to stop them to actually continue to patrol these areas, and anybody they find wanting to be prosecuted, and don't prosecute that person in terms of a private prosecution. Let it be public, so that other people that have the intention of carrying out such vandalization can also know that yes, if you carry out such thing, you also suffer the same fate this person is going through. Trust, it is human. Some people are just are committed to such a dastard act, but there must be a law that will come on them. And I think the best thing is to create a vigilance system that can actually monitor those rail track, to monitor if there's any element or any persons that want to actually vandalize. You have made mention of manhole. I can tell you, even in central area, as at yesterday, I still make comment on that. I don't know how Nigeria have reduced to this level that every manhole in the central area have been removed by this men of under or continue to monitor those level of security. We must create intentional security to monitor this rail, because any little vandalism that happen, vandalization that happen on the rail track, it will lead to rail derailment, and that's why we must take it serious.
Well, Dr. Aliyu, when you talk about setting up cameras along the way, setting up sensors, and all of that sophistication, even if these cameras are placed to monitor the movement of the train, along the tracks, to also monitor whether or not, these rail tracks are being vandalized by some criminal elements, don't you think that even the camera or security systems are not safe themselves, unless there's going to be, manned posts along the rail corridor, all the way from Abuja here to Kaduna and, vice versa? The same individuals who continue to vandalize the rail tracks will certainly be able to vandalize these cameras being installed. Is this a viable solution?
Well, for me, I think, beyond fixing camera, there must be human element that will monitor those things.
Yeah.
So in as much as, like I said, we have security agencies like civil defense that can be saddled at a particular period and a particular level of maybe distance along the rail that can actually be there to monitor them. Beyond even camera can also be monitored. So it's possible. It depends on how sophisticated Nigerians are, the security agency are. They can always create a system around it and make sure. I remember at a particular area along Abuja, within Abuja, they create a barbed wire whereby they don't want intervention of maybe cow or animal into this. So you can also look at that area and do some intentional security, create it around it, if that will bring safety. Safety is very, very key. We're only lucky yesterday there was no death recorded. If not, it's not a good one to have a train derailment. You can even see the level of it. I've seen the video and I've watched it over time. So that look at the way some of the coaches have fell and turned. That shows that yes, it's a serious one, but it's only with God grace that people got saved. So I think we should create a security that will be last and secure people while on the train.
Now, this particular fresh derailment has sort of renewed debates concerning the multi-billion naira rail projects being embarked upon in the country. If the systems that we already have in place are not, being properly taken care of, either on the part of the NRC, either on the part of, the passengers themselves, whoever it is, or even these vandals that continue to operate. How much more the multi-billion naira rail projects that are being commissioned every now and then within the country, won't they also face the same fate that these already established projects are currently facing?
Right. So I think a major issue in Nigeria should go to maybe procurement, and Bureau of Public Procurement need to do more to look into those things. I recall during President Jonathan, there was a camera in the city of Abuja that got 13 billion, and to up to now, there's no result for it. It could not even function for a day, let alone 2 days. If you go there, you will even see the old kind of camera they purchased. You will even see that the camera does not even work at all. So the same fate may be what is bedeviling the NRC, and that's why the Bureau of Public Procurement need to be sure that those things are procured, and they actually procure the right one, and they monitor the operationalization of it. Because beyond the procurement, we must also monitor the operationalization of it, and they must also give you the timeline if this will last for 10 years, 15 years, and what have you. So I think that's where we have the challenges. Nigeria are good in apportioning money for projects, but monitoring that project to see it through is always a problem. But at this point, I think it has been exposed. So according to NRC, they are going to investigate. We are waiting for their report if we actually see the report, because most investigations are swept under the carpet. However, I think we need to go for a better way of monitoring that area. If not, we may lose interest, and we may even lose interest in following rail tracks, which is one of the best way and safest means of transport. We are even hoping that we will move into that area to move our cargo, because some of us, when Dangote actually purchased 4,000 truck, we said, no, why don't you go multimodal? Instead of you saying that it's only the road that have been over-labored that you want to use again. But I will agree with Dangote that having seen the level of derailment of about 188 within 6 years, it will be a sad commentary to make that it should embark on a rail transportation.
Now, your last comment, where you mentioned the discouragement that people are gradually having when it comes to traveling by rail, it is no news that lately our roads have not been quite safe in the country. If it's not banditry or kidnapping, it's armed robbers. If it's not armed robbers, it's the deplorable state of the roads. So from Abuja to a place like Kaduna, rather than going by road and risking whatever it is, the vices that you might find on the road, you'd rather just ply the train route, which is a lot more safer and a lot more faster and a lot more reliable. Yet we continue to see these things. The issue of the bandit attacks on the train is something that has been laid to rest now. However, the derailment is the new problem. Going forward, how can we restore that confidence that people have, started having at some point in our rail system, to the level that people can confidently go to a train station and travel without thinking about the possibility of a train derailment, along the way?
Right. So train derailment is not even peculiar to Nigeria. We have seen different, even best countries having an experience of rail derailment, but the frequency is the problem we're having here. If you could have up to above 100 derailments in a year, in 6 years, that shows that it's a bad optics for Nigerians. But in terms of people losing interest, we are Nigerians and we are susceptible. When you see something negative happen, and when it happened in a recurring manner. At a particular point, I also prefer going through road. I mean, going through rail compared to road. But when the banditry happens, I have to also change to road, and because road is also not safe, you experience some banditry, some attacks on the road. The road is getting better now. However, if there is a continuous reoccurring of such rail derailment, it will definitely discourage Nigerians from following the train, because anything that will jeopardize or endanger our life, that's what is even called insecurity itself. So we have to consider other means of transportation. We are even preaching to government to make sure that this rail become much more available within countries, within intra and inter, so that we can actually maximize. But with this experience, I can tell you it has reduced the confidence level of the Nigerians.
Well, Dr. Aliyu, let's quickly move on to yet another conversation. We have a little over 5 minutes to wrap up this segment with you. President Tinubu's recent visit to Brazil has drawn quite a lot of good for Nigeria. One of them is an agreement or a pact that is, being signed between Nigeria and Brazil, where there will be direct flights from Nigeria all the way to Sao Paulo, Brazil. A development that has been welcomed by all and sundry. Now, the second thing is the return of Petrobras to Nigeria, something that has also been applauded by a lot of individuals. From your own perspective as an economist, what does this hold for the country? What benefit in detailed form do we stand to gain from all of these agreements?
Right. So when we have the national conversation like this, and we're talking about trade, what it actually, I want to talk about foreign direct investment. We are looking at bringing portfolio investment, but in this case, it's even beyond portfolio investment as well. They're also bringing direct flights to Nigeria. They're also bringing a structured Petrobras investment. So it's a good one for me. But my only concern is that President Tinubu continue to travel across the globe to actually ask for businesses. I remember I went to Qatar, different country, to attract business. But for me, I think something is missing.
What is missing, Dr. Aliyu?
And what is missing is because we don't have a substantive ambassadors to continue to pursue all these things. So if you make an effort to bring a business, you must have somebody politically that will continue to seek that interest and get it approved. I can tell you, we have seen little or nothing that have been attracted since it has been traveling, because of we do not have somebody who can actually follow it up. And also the last thing is that you must also create an attractive environment to attract such investments, such as you must look at your economy. Your macro economy is very, very key. There must be stability. The NPR must be attractive. The inflation must also be attractive. The GDP must be attractive. These are what people will see before they will come and invest. Then lastly, security is also key. We have just seen what happened in terms of derailment. We have been seeing what is happening to our farmers. We have been seeing what is happening to kidnapping, insurgency. We must also work on our end. You must create an enabling environment that foreign direct investment can actually be attracted to.
Well, while in Japan, I'll take you back a little bit also to buttress your point about foreign direct investments. If you recall, in the TICAD 9 summit in Japan, where the Japanese Prime Minister had pledged a $5.5 billion investment into Africa in collaboration with the AFDB, the president said that of the $5.5 billion, he's trying to woo $1 billion into Nigeria alone. Now, this is quite a very huge figure. This is from Japan alone. Brazil, beyond the direct flight agreement, beyond Petrobras returning to the country, there are other, collaborative agreements that could hold sway in agriculture, in manufacturing, and many other things. Do you all still think that the president is not doing well enough by not appointing these ambassadors to do the job that he's already doing all across different countries of the world?
Well, if you ask me, there are some journey President embarked on that even the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I think, can actually broker a deal in that area.
Okay.
Then President Bola Ahmed Tinubu traveling around, I don't have issue with it, but when you travel around, what is the result? We must look at the result. I think he must have traveled to Brazil. Was it 3 times in 9 months?
3 times in the last 9 months, yes.
So if you have traveled 3 times in 9 months and it does not translate to anything, for me, it's a serious issue. When I talk about TCAD 9, I think TCAD 9 is a good one because I see the Minister of Power trying to broker a deal in terms of power, which is a very good area that we need to look at. Since we have decentralized or bring power sector to a current level whereby every state can actually invest. I expect them to actually make some states to go to those ticket line and actually ask for direct investment in their own states, because by the time a state can actually generate, distribute, and transmit, that would generate, transmit, and distribute, that would have helped us a whole lot. And I saw those deal much more easier from that. Then we also call OEM the getting deal from the original equipment manufacturers. I think that's what we need to also look at very well. So it won't be a third party affair. Let them actually deal directly with Nigeria. I think that would be a good one. So I think we can broker a deal if we have people that will be working it out, not president only go and it ends there. Because if you have minister, if you have an ambassador, you have that mandate to be following up those agreements and to bring it to our limelight.
Well, Dr. Aliyu Ilias, we must thank you so much. Economist, MD, CSA Advisory. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you here on Morning Express. We look forward to having you again next time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.